You are listening to Life, the Universe, and Everything Else. Today on the show, the Atheist Delusion. Life, the Universe, and Everything Else is a program promoting secular humanism and scientific skepticism, produced by the Winnipeg Skeptics. You can email your questions, comments, or criticisms to us at LUEEpodcast@winnipegskeptics.com. Show notes, references, and relevant links can be found at lueepodcast.wordpress.com or at winnipegskeptics.com/blog. My name is Ashlyn Noble, and I'll be your host today. We have a somewhat larger panel than usual to make up for our very small panel last month. So today with me I have Lauren Bailey.
Hello.
Ash Burkowski.
Hello.
Jem Newman.
Hi.
Huxley Newman.
We don't need Foley effects for the baby.
Laura Krieg Newman.
Hi.
And David Bonwick.
Hello.
So we have a few pieces of business to take care of at the top of the show. First of all, we wanted to let you know that we, as the Winnipeg Skeptics, do still, in fact, host events, and you should come to them. We had a great pub quiz yesterday, hosted by our own Jem Newman, and we got to do a lot of really cool trivia about homeopathy and the living world and inventions and discoveries, and we ended up with a half a point difference between the teams, which was a lot of fun.
Because I'm a softie?
He gives away half points if you beg.
Oh, boy.
No, if you make a cogent argument.
So you can find those events online or via our newsletter. How do you sign up for our newsletter, Jim?
So you can go to winnipegskeptics.com, and right on that, on the front page, there will be a link to sign up to the newsletter, and there will also be a link to our events page, which is at winnipegskeptics.com/events. And also you can find them on Facebook as well, and we'll usually tweet about them too.
Or find Ashlyn and Jem on Facebook. They'll promote them.
The events page is updated as I get around to it, as soon as Jem harasses me about it. So I try and get them up as soon as possible.
Maybe if it was cat memes, you'd post it more.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well either. That used to be my job on the Winnipeg Skeptics blog, was just memes. And there's like 6 of them maybe. In other news, Jem got a ridiculous email forward lately, and he wants to share it with us.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about this. It's one of those chain letters. I know. The family member who sent it to me prefaced it with, sad but true. Remember, young'uns, we older farts lived this in the 50s and 60s. So I'm going to read this email, I guess in its entirety. It's not super long. It is super awful, though.
Are you going to preface each line with indent, 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 indent?
So many. There are so many of them.
How many re's did it have at the beginning of the title?
Well, a lot of email clients will filter those out now.
Technology.
So the email begins, by today's standards, none of us were ever supposed to make it. High school, 1957 versus 2016. Scenario 1.
Oh, God.
Jack goes duck hunting before school and then pulls into the school parking lot with his shotgun in his truck's gun rack. 1957. Vice principal comes over, looks at Jack's shotgun, goes to his car and gets his shotgun to show Jack. 2016. School goes into lockdown. FBI called. Jack hauled off to jail and never sees his truck or his gun again.
Oh no, not his gun!
Well, what happens to the principal's gun?
Counselors called in for traumatized students and teachers.
I have a serious question. What about the ducks?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Scenario 2. Johnny and Mark get into a fist fight after school. 1957. Crowd gathers. Mark wins. Johnny and Mark shake hands and end up best buddies. Because that's totally how that scenario plays out.
Totally, yeah.
Every time, yeah.
There's never any bullying.
2016. Police called, and SWAT team arrives. They arrest both Johnny and Mark. They are both charged with assault and both expelled, even though Johnny started it.
When do they
That's
kiss and make
relevant.
out?
Who calls the SWAT team on a fist fight?
Literally nobody. This literally never happened. Oh, well, sorry. I shouldn't have assumed they're both white.
Yeah.
True.
Scenario 3. Jeffrey will not be in class. He disrupts other students. 1957. Jeffrey sent to the principal's office and given a good paddling by the principal. He then returns to class, sits still, and does not disrupt class again.
I've seen that movie.
2016. Jeffrey is given huge doses of Ritalin. He becomes a zombie. He is then tested for ADD. The family gets extra money, SSI, from the government because Jeffrey has a disability.
Wait a second, he gets Ritalin before he's tested for ADD?
Yeah,
Very
because
strange.
Big Pharma.
Yeah, let's just dose them.
They just keep it in the principal's office.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they just inject the kid.
And like SSI is just like waiting to hand out that rich disability money. Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Scenario 4. Billy breaks a window in his neighbor's car and his dad gives him a whipping. I assume that means like figurative whipping, not
Yeah.
literally a whipping.
No, it might be a whooping.
Yeah. Whooping. Yeah.
I'm thinking of whooping.
I'm thinking there's a switch involved.
1957. Billy is more careful next time. Grows up normal, goes to college, and becomes a successful businessman.
Avoids having a good relationship with
and
his
beats
father.
his children.
Yeah, continues the cycle of abuse.
2016. Billy's dad is arrested for child abuse. Billy is removed to foster care and joins a gang. The state psychologist is told by Billy's sister that she remembers being spanked herself, and their dad goes to prison. Billy's mom has an affair with the psychologist.
I love how far they take that.
That is the obvious next step. That is clearly what happens in every scenario like this, right? Right? No.
Oddly specific.
I want to know who wrote the original letter and what they are projecting.
Yeah. Scenario 5.
Oh god, there's more?
Mark gets a headache and takes some aspirin to school. 1957. Mark shares his aspirin with the principal out on the smoking dock.
Why are these students so chummy with the principals and constantly like sharing everything in 1957?
That actually never happened either.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Mr. Weatherby needed...
2016. The police are called and Mark is expelled from school for drug violations. His car is then searched for drugs and weapons.
No.
No.
Okay, so this is, oh boy. Scenario 6. Pedro fails high school English. 1957. Pedro goes to summer school, passes English, and goes to college. 2016. Pedro's cause is taken up by a radical group. Newspaper articles appear nationally explaining that teaching English as a requirement for graduation is racist. ACLU files a class action lawsuit against the state school system and Pedro's English teacher. English is then banned from the basic curriculum. Pedro is given his diploma anyway and ends up mowing lawns for a living because he cannot speak English.
Wow.
Well,
Scenario 7.
No.
Johnny takes apart leftover firecrackers from the 4th of July, puts them in a model airplane paint bottle, and blows up a red ant bed. 1957. Ants die.
That's it.
2016. ATF, Homeland Security, and the FBI are called. Johnny is charged with domestic terrorism. The FBI investigates his parents, and all his siblings are removed from their home. All computers are confiscated. Johnny's dad is placed on a terror watch list and is never allowed to fly again. Yes, I agree. You know, the no-fly list? Not really constitutional, guys. Let's
And
fix
his
that.
dad? Why is his dad on? He was
Because
the one
they-
who was doing it.
because
His
they
house.
found tons of fertilizer in it.
First of all, in 1957, taking apart firecrackers is probably going to get your hands or eyes blown off
Yeah.
faster than you're going to kill ants.
There's nothing wrong with it, guys. Are you not paying attention to this email?
Yes, 1957 was a beautiful time.
Where
Tell me
nothing,
more.
Nothing bad ever happened.
No.
Everybody
Scenario
lived in peace.
8.
Oh no.
Johnny falls while running during recess.
Wait, is this the same Johnny? So does he have no hands?
We could just call him No Hand Johnny.
No Hand Johnny.
Yeah.
That would explain like lack of balance. And
Yeah.
that, you know, I can see him
Why he
falling
fell,
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And scrapes his knee. He is found crying by his teacher, Mary. Mary hugs him to comfort him. 1957.
Poor
In a
little
short
Johnny.
time, Johnny feels better and goes on playing. 2016. Mary is accused of being a sexual predator and loses her job. She faces 3 years in a state prison. Johnny undergoes 5 years of therapy. This should hit every email inbox to show just how stupid we have become. And that is being polite.
Well,
So my initial response to this email was, oh, Jesus Christ, what a load of nonsense. Because this came from a family member, I really didn't want to respond to it. Like, I have trouble interacting with other people on the internet, generally speaking. And some of that has to do with my OCD, which I've talked about before. But it feels really personal because it's coming from a family member. So I thought that for me it would be really healthy if I could just file this away, never look at it again, not discuss it on a podcast, and not respond. But as I thought more about it, not responding would allow these ideas to just propagate unopposed. And sure, I may feel terrible receiving this, but how much worse would somebody who's actually experienced, some of these things that are talked about in this chain email, or been victimized because they failed high school English, for example.
Or were named Johnny.
That would be terrible. And, the way I feel about it is not the be-all and end-all. And ultimately, I think that a little bit of discomfort that I feel is less important than opposing the spread of these ideas. So after several passes, making my reply a little bit nicer each time because I am sending it to a family member, this is what I sent. Hi. I found this email puzzling. It seems to paint a rosy picture of some golden past that few ever got to experience. It yearns for a time when it was considered broadly acceptable to discipline minors or solve interpersonal disputes with violence. A time when we saw all manner of discrimination, both from government institutions and private citizens, against women, ethnic minorities, and LGBTQ people. Discrimination, by the way, that continues today. A time when much of Canada's Aboriginal population was not eligible to vote and were subject to rape and other abuses in the residential school system. A time when Alberta's eugenics board was forcibly sterilizing people. A time when lynchings were on the rise again and the KKK were bombing so many homes that Birmingham, Alabama was nicknamed Bombingham. A time when domestic abuse was rampant and the concept of marital rape wasn't even recognized. Why are these elements of life in the 50s absent from this email, I wonder? The chain letter also makes all sorts of dubious leaps of logic. A SWAT team is called in for a fistfight? Billy's mom has an affair with a psychologist? I mean, maybe if Billy's father wasn't an abuser, that might not have happened. But who knows what the rules of this fantasy universe really even are? You may have enjoyed the 50s, but keep in mind that not everybody did. And those who didn't had some pretty compelling reasons for not enjoying the 50s. By and large, I think that things are improving, and statistics with regard to rates of violent crime seem to bear that out. But who knows what the future holds? I find the rise of popular fascism in Europe, Japan, and North America to be particularly troubling, and I don't think that the contents of this chain letter contribute to the discourse in a productive fashion. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I would like to unsubscribe from this particular mailing list. Jem.
Did you ever get a response?
Yeah, I did. And ISIS was brought up, and the enemies of our freedom, and the fact that, the brown hordes want to kill us all, but in, nicer language, but that was the core thrust. I did get some nominal concessions to my points, but it kind of went off in a different direction about how...
Yeah.
You got a head pat and a lecture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look, there's a meme that's been going around that I think boils down your response into, why are people so nostalgic for the 50s? We still have milkshakes and racism.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was depressing. Jem also has some good news. He has recently been appointed, voluntold, into being the new chairman of the board of Bad Science Watch.
Yeah, Bad Science Watch. I've been on the board for a few years now, and Michael Cruz, who was serving as both the chair of the board and as our executive director, was hoping to step back from one of those roles.
Doing everything.
And I was nominated and accepted the nomination for board chair and was elected at the AGM in September, so...
Yay!
That's how I'm spending some of my copious free time.
Yeah.
Right, Huxley?
Did you want to talk at all about the cool stuff that Bad Science Watch is doing?
Yeah, well, I was interviewed recently on the Reality Check, our fellow Canadian podcast that I'm quite fond of, about some recent changes that Health Canada is planning to make to the way self-care products, which include natural remedies, are regulated. And the long and the short of it is their proposed regulatory framework is a risk-based framework. So things that are generally low risk are not necessarily going to be evaluated for their scientific merit, but they're also going to get a disclaimer on the label basically saying Health Canada has nothing to do with this product, and they won't be allowed to make specific health claims.
So they get less of that inferred...
Because right now natural health products are approved by Health Canada and they get a specific index number. And so with this specific disclaimer, hopefully that will eliminate some of the implied consent that Health Canada gives to these remedies now. And for medium and higher risk products, Health Canada is going to apply a very reasonable, it seems, standard of evidence, blinding controls.
You need to actually study them.
Yeah.
Have what they say on the tin.
We do have some concerns about the way products are going to be sorted into these risk categories because currently the criteria are not very clear, and so we have concerns that with vague criteria for risk sorting, that's going to benefit the manufacturers rather than protecting the consumers of these products.
Yeah, but at least it's a step.
Yeah,
Right,
well, there's a
it's
lot of
something.
lobbying going on by health freedom advocates who want to kind of eliminate all regulation of these products whatsoever. So Health Canada actually recently finished a public consultation on the new regulations, and we had a very successful campaign to get science advocates involved in those consultations, and we had a few hundred people based upon traffic from our website to the consultation itself. It looks like we had a few hundred people participate in the consultation, and we also participated ourselves, of course, and our position is available on badsciencewatch.ca, our website, and feel free to go there for more information about what we think of the proposed regulations. So with the consultation period over now, we'll see how things shake out.
Yeah, hopefully we got enough people to participate that the natural health folk won't have all of the volume in the conversation.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So last month we presented a takedown of several episodes of Unsealed Conspiracy Files.
For that, I apologize.
Mystery Skepticism Theater 3000.
Yeah.
I just started watching that, actually.
It's on Netflix now, including Canadian Netflix, as well as Unsealed Alien Files, which we briefly mentioned at the end of the show. So go ahead and watch them. Webcam Guy is also in Unsealed Alien Files, just in case you were curious and needed to know that.
Webcam guy needs a Twitter. Like, just not whatever his real name is, just webcam guy.
Is he going to be as famous as Giorgio Tsoukalos?
He doesn't have the hair.
That's the guy with the hair.
And I think he's already balding,
yeah.
so...
Oh, okay.
Normally we wouldn't do two review shows so close together, but we were provided with an interesting opportunity. The Ray Comfort, I guess, their PR people reached out to me personally and sent me an email asking if I wanted an advanced screener of their new movie, The Atheist Delusion. And so naturally I replied immediately and said, yes, we would love one. The video is now available free on YouTube or at atheistmovie.com. You can go check out all of their propaganda.
Yeah, that's the right word.
That religion is just absolutely uncalled for. We are just mere things floating on a rock in space.
Believing in God makes no sense. It's to me, it's the dumbest thing.
We are not only figuratively, but literally stardust.
Are you an atheist?
I am.
So you're an atheist?
Yes. Yes, I am.
I need to know what to believe in.
Like what happens when you die?
Yes, I don't want to be a bag of dust.
Did you know that 54 million people die every year? People just like you and me who love life. If you were shown evidence, you would change your mind because you're open.
Absolutely.
I think I am open to evidence. It just would have to be extraordinarily compelling, like out of this world compelling.
Has this made you think today?
It definitely has.
I'll definitely consider this eye-opening. Wow.
I hope I get enough guts to get myself out of this stinking planet.
You gonna kill yourself?
I'd like to.
Can you see what you're doing?
Yeah. I'm lying to myself.
So the 6 of us sat down and watched the movie, and we have some comments.
First of all, I'd like to say that it was shot on an iPhone, and it looks beautiful.
yeah, this is, if nothing else, an ad for the iPhone, I think you mentioned.
Okay, I just wanted to say that.
And the way we know that is that it's basically a Talking Heads interview, and a lot of the people were wearing sunglasses because it was a very bright day on a college campus, and you can see Ray Comfort there in their sunglasses, you know.
He was also very good at acting as his own tripod.
Yeah, just holding up his iPhone in front of him.
Yeah, he was very steady.
He was very steady.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It must have had like a steady cam function or something.
Yeah, there is an auto steady function in the new iPhones, which is especially good in the iPhone 6S Plus.
Ooh. You're making money off of this podcast, Jim.
Ray Comfort, of course, a lot of people will be familiar with him, but if you're not, just do a YouTube search for The Atheist's Worst Nightmare, and you'll come up.
It's a fruit.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Behold, The Atheist's Nightmare.
He has a strangely friendly relationship with the atheist community, and I think it's because he enjoys a minor celebrity status. You know, Living Waters Ministries is not a big organization, but because they're so, I guess, absurd and ridiculous, especially with that banana clip that went viral, I think it makes him feel like a big man.
Yeah, he gets to feel like he is notorious in some way.
He's reaching out.
Yeah, any attention is good attention sometimes. So the premise of the show was laid out in the email. They are going to destroy atheism with one scientific argument.
Just one.
Just one. That was immediately broken.
So who was converted, by the way?
Apparently like 5 people in the video.
Yeah. 5 first-year college students that are too polite to end the conversation.
Yeah, most of these people just looked like they wanted him to stop talking, but they were too nice to tell him to go away.
Wow, I really enjoy being a
I really wonder how much he paid them to actually finish the conversation.
We should mention that the full title of this film is The Atheist Delusion, Why Millions Deny God.
Well, wasn't there also The Obvious Answer or something? I don't know. There was a bunch of different subtitles at different points.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've obviously stopped paying attention. I was dazzled by the gorgeous use of stock photography.
There was kittens.
There were, yeah.
The cutest kittens.
So it is worth watching for the pictures of baby animals. Did anybody, before we got started, because we didn't, pre-record anything, did anybody have a guess as to what the scientific argument was going to be before we watched the movie?
I assumed it was going to be the cow eye thing.
I thought it was going to be more interesting than it ended up being.
Yeah.
I thought at least,
It was kind of his same arguments
Yeah.
that he's always been using, just very slightly modified.
He goes on and on about how an atheist believes that nothing created everything. I mean, maybe some atheists do. I don't. I have no idea. Whatever, man.
He made a lot of sweeping statements about
About what all atheists believe, yeah.
I would love to know what started everything.
Yeah, sure.
I don't have the ability to find out.
None of us do, yet.
And there are some, compelling arguments for how life got started from non-life, abiogenesis or biopoiesis, as we talked about in the pub quiz yesterday.
Which you could have been at, folks.
And there are some interesting theoretical explanations for cosmogony, how the universe, the cosmos itself came into being. But the fact that we don't know the answer to something doesn't mean that you can, to paraphrase Darrell O'Brien, fill in the gaps with whatever fairy tale most appeals to you.
Well, science doesn't know everything. Well, science knows it doesn't know everything, otherwise it'd stop. But as well as that, why would they bother? But as well, just because science doesn't know everything doesn't mean you can fill in the gaps with whatever fairy tale most appeals to you.
Sky cake.
Jem, did you want to talk about the central argument in the movie?
Yeah, so he shows all of these kids a gorgeous book full of nature illustrations. It looks like a textbook. It's probably one of his creationist I think it's actually,
He mentions
it is that that creation,
the miracle world or something.
Yeah, this
it has a gecko's
creationist
foot on the front.
book that he's peddling, and it's got nature illustrations and a bunch of words in it. And he says, "Do you believe this book came from nothing?"
Do you believe that book could happen by accident? That nothing produced the colour pictures in the book? That red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet ink fell from the sky and formed itself into those beautiful pictures? And then black ink fell from the sky, or from nowhere, and formed itself into coherent words and sentences, capitals and periods and commas, making sense. Page numbers fell from the sky, all in order, and then it bound itself and formed itself into a cover with artwork, and there we have a book.
And the periods and commas inserted themselves appropriately?
I'd be astonished if they were inserted appropriately. But...
And then bound itself?
Yeah, and bound itself. So... Watchmaker argument incoming. The klaxons went off. And he then goes into this deluge of clips of scientists and science communicators talking about how DNA is the book of you.
Everything that you are or ever will be made of starts as a tiny book of instructions found in each and every cell.
Mm-hmm. Each of those clips did have the little disclaimer at the bottom saying fair use.
Yeah.
Don't sue me over this, guys. DNA is described variously as a computer program or as an instruction manual, a book.
They said it was binary at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it's quaternary, very clearly not binary, because binary has a specific meaning. It has a meaning, people! But it's code, or an instruction manual that creates you. And if a book can't make itself, then clearly this book of you, the DNA, can't make itself. Because you've already admitted that a book can't make itself, so DNA can't make itself.
And obviously DNA is exactly the same as a paper-bound book.
Yeah.
Checkmate, atheists.
Mind blown.
Oh, yeah.
Checkmate.
I almost choked on a pea pod.
So this is, what he's doing is he's using an analogy. DNA is like an instruction manual. It is like this. It is like that.
I'm taking it way too far.
Right. He's using an analogy that people use to try to get to like a kernel of a concept and explain it to a broad, non-scientific audience, and assuming that it is literally correct. Mm-hmm. But that's not how analogies work. A book can't write itself. Things probably can't create themselves. But he interviewed physicist Lawrence Krauss, and Lawrence Krauss rightly points out, DNA doesn't make itself any more than a snowflake makes itself. It is assembled on the basis of interactions between physical objects in the universe.
DNA doesn't make itself any more than a snowflake makes itself. A snowflake is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's assembled by nature. It doesn't make itself. It's the laws of physics and chemistry, polar molecules, that make this incredibly complex, beautiful structure.
It isn't an instruction manual because it isn't something that somebody reads and then assembles you based on reading this instruction manual. It is literally just physical objects that interact together, and the way they interact together chemically and physically has a certain result, and that result is you.
I thought it was really cool how he said, it doesn't have to be, it's just the interactions between like the dipole moments, so how gravity basically is pulling on the teeny tiny atoms is why snowflakes assemble the way they do. They don't need anybody to come and build them.
You give me the laws of polar molecules, and I'll give you a snowflake. There's no intent, no grand purpose, no design behind it. Even though they look designed, the illusion of design is an illusion.
And I think that's a really accessible argument.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely going to take that one and use it.
I don't know how accessible dipole moments is.
Well, I'm not going to...
And Ray Comfort did say something about God having to invent gravity for humans.
Right.
That's true. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you see a boulder rolling down a hill, it doesn't mean that God put it there. It is...
Yes, it does.
It is interacting with its environment according to the way physics works.
And it's going to be a great song by Harry Chapin.
Right. But, it might swerve down because it hits a curve, or it might bounce off of something and become airborne briefly. But the interactions that happen on a molecular level with DNA are just the result of physical processes, just like that boulder rolling down a hill.
But wouldn't Christians say that, the boulder was put there by God and the path that it took was all a part of God's plan.
Yeah, like if you
however
assume
many kittens got crushed, that was all part of.
If you assume your conclusion in your premise, then yes. I mean, if you want to make your circular argument, then yeah.
I love circular arguments.
But Jem, how did the first single-cell organism know it needed to eat?
It didn't have hunger yet. Ray Comfort, like as you mentioned, Lauren, goes on this hilarious diatribe about how did the chicken know how to eat before it had hunger?
If it breathed air, was the air 20% oxygen as it is now, and why did the air evolve? And why did it evolve lungs? And how did it survive before it had lungs? And see before it had eyes, and think before it had a brain, and eat before it had an appetite? It doesn't really make sense when you think about it, because you've got to translate that to elephants, horses, cats, cows, human beings. Every living thing apparently evolved from stars had to evolve eyes and ears and a mouth and a nose and lungs and heart and kidneys.
How did it see before it had eyes? Well, it didn't see
It
before
wasn't
it had
like an
eyes.
eyeless chicken wandering around going, man, I wish I could see what's on the ground right now.
Let me just pop out a couple eyes.
Yeah.
What I was really sad about was how many, when he asked the inevitable question, chicken or egg, which came first?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
I'll have to say the chicken.
The chicken. What do you think?
The chicken.
Chicken.
How many of the university students said chicken?
Yeah.
That made me, I'm not going to say fear for the future, but it made me very sad.
Yeah, his big stumper was literally which came first, the chicken or the egg.
Like, I do want to point out something, though. A lot of the interviews took place in front of a building that said liberal arts.
Good catch.
Okay, wait.
I'm not generalizing,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing that they're not all science majors.
But every child goes through their dinosaur phase.
Yeah.
You gotta know there's dinosaur eggs.
Some people more than others.
The lack of understanding that Ray Comfort displays for evolution is always staggering. Like, not only does he seem to think that that every part, whatever part means in this context, every part of like a chicken evolved independently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like first you have a chicken that's just like a blob, and then it evolves feet, and then it evolves a beak, and then it evolves eyes. Like we're starting from scratch every time.
Then it evolves blood cells, and then it evolves vessels, and then it evolves a heart.
Let's go back to something more simple regarding that first chicken that came from the stars. Which came first in the chicken? Was it its blood, or its heart, or its blood vessels? Which evolved first?
I do not know the answer.
Well, if it was the heart, why did the heart evolve when there was no blood? If it was the blood, why did the blood evolve when there was no heart to pump it around? If there are no blood vessels, how did the blood get around the body of the chicken to keep it alive if there's no heart to pump it?
But it has to do it twice, because the males and females evolve separately.
He's always like, well, what are the chances that you'd evolve both a male and a female?
Well, he's clearly taking it from the Adam and Eve stance, where God created Adam and went, oh, I guess I could use something to go with this. So he's assuming that every other creature was like that.
Slot A for tab B.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. You're usually not.
When he's talking about the which evolved first, the heart or the blood vessels, how's it going to breathe if it doesn't have lungs? That it seemed to be like a really clumsy way of getting into a very common creationist argument, which is irreducible complexity, which we actually talked about way back on episodes 34 and 36 of the podcast.
For my time.
Yeah, don't go back. Don't bother. Our early episodes.
We were discussing this last night. There's a level where we started to gel.
Yeah, right now it is I guess it's not really a bug in WordPress, but we have a WordPress RSS feed, and so it only goes back 50 episodes. I call it a feature. I think the last of the episodes that I'm not really proud of is about to fall off the bottom.
So go catch it now, folks.
Yeah. But if they're all on the website and on the blog.
Ian, you are still on the list.
Yeah. We miss you, Ian. But we talked about this way back on our Common Creationist Claims two-parter, and I think Ian was actually on that one. Yep. And so I'll probably just repeat what I said then about irreducible complexity, just to get it out of the way, because it really bothers me that this is still around. But according to Michael Behe of the Discovery Institute, a system can be said to be irreducibly complex in cases where, if any part of the system is removed, the system as a whole ceases to function. So a classic example that he uses to describe an irreducibly complex system is a mousetrap. It consists of a base, a spring, a hammer, and a catch, and it's clear that if any of these pieces are removed, the mousetrap no longer works. Behe contends that since evolution proceeds by adding parts to an existing system one by one, any precursors of an irreducibly complex system would have been useless and thus would not have evolved as a result of natural selection. Behe cites several examples of irreducibly complex systems in several organisms and concludes that such systems must have been intelligently designed.
Something that I've actually never considered before is the idea that evolution also takes things away, right? So, yeah, the eye doesn't really function without most of its... If you took a part away, it wouldn't really function. But when it was evolving, it had other stuff.
Right. Scaffolding.
I don't know why I've never thought of it that way before. Like, I understand the arguments that why this is not a good argument. But that's just something that clicked for me.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Behe, this argument isn't actually really a new argument. It's, like people like Ray Comfort are fond of saying, what use is half a wing, right? And Behe does specifically ignore the thing that you point out, that evolution can remove parts as well as add them. So the Gothic arch is typically used as a counter example to the mousetrap. The Gothic arch is irreducibly complex. Remove any one stone from the arch and it will collapse. But that doesn't mean that you can't build it. It means it can't have been built piece by piece as it stands right now. But if scaffolding were installed as the arch were being built and then removed after its completion, we can still build the arch piece by piece without it falling. And Behe also ignores the fact that systems that are incomplete for one function may adequately serve another function. There are several plausible antecedent functions suggested for the very systems that Behe says are irreducibly complex. So, like, when you look at the eye, for example, Darwin himself, deals with that whole, how could the eye evolve, blah, 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 it would have been. And he talks about how even just a little light-sensitive patch on the skin can be very helpful for a small organism.
I love how creationists will quote Darwin saying that, the eye is, a wonder and couldn't possibly have been designed, and then they cut it off
the next sentence.
Right where he goes on to explain it.
And to answer the question, what use is half a wing? Have you ever seen a fucking penguin? So, there are alternate uses. And, you can look at, we have solid evidence for fully plumaged theropod dinosaurs right now that couldn't fly, but their feathers were used for other purposes.
But they still didn't put the feathers in Jurassic World.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They just wanted it to be consistent with the other films, which are all great, and none of them are terrible.
Clever girl.
I have issues with their DNA thing.
Well, you can just fill in the gaps with frog DNA, right? That's how that works.
I have issues.
Any kind of lizard, just fine. They're completely
We just
compatible.
watched the new one.
Oh, yeah?
Last week or 2 weeks ago.
Just whatever,
last week.
recently.
Just like a monster movie, right?
Yeah. It was filling in this new dinosaur with other... it just... No.
Yeah, just
I don't
patch
care.
These together.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's just like a chimera, right?
Yeah.
I don't care how cute Chris Pratt is. I gave up right there when they're like, no, we just filled it in with trade secrets.
Guardians 2 is coming out, and he will rise in our estimation once again.
It's okay. Everybody needs a paycheck. Everybody needs some of that sweet Jurassic Park money.
So he finishes up with with all the science stuff.
We're back to Ray Comfort now, right?
Yeah, and
not Chris Pratt.
He goes on with the preaching and the scare tactics. Because if God exists, there's possibly a way past death.
It means there's a way past the thing you have to face, this thing called death that consumes everyone.
The music in this movie was both. There was the terrifying music, and then there was the sad music. And then there was the terrifying music again. And Laura kept getting, angry.
Well, it was so obviously there for effect. This would have been, not that this was a great watch by any means, but had you taken that out, it would have been the worst thing ever. It just would have been terrible, so empty. And it always lasted way too long.
Yeah.
It was not, it was there for effect, but the effect wore off, and then I just got mad that they couldn't think of anything better to do with their time.
They could have used Ian.
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems to me that Ray Comfort would be that guy who's the last one at the party, and the hosts are like already in their pajamas, and he's still like talking to the dog about his scientific breakthroughs.
Yep.
And
Get out. Go
just
home.
go home, Ray.
Yeah. Exactly.
After Ray finished with his little sermon, we got this like hit of inspirational music and this montage of people like water skiing and stuff. And I'm like, what is this? Like a car ad, an ad for the Olympics? And Laura said, no, it's a
tourist ad.
Yeah, it
Come
totally
visit our
was.
city.
Yeah.
And it even ended with a firework display.
Oh my god, we have all these cool things.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was demoing this whole thing is like an ad for his new book, I guess, which is a creationist textbook with a bunch of examples of innovations that were copied from nature, like how the camera is just an eyeball. I think that was one of the examples that we saw.
Things were predicted in the Bible that we didn't know about, the science.
Right.
And earthworms are, they stole the design from an earthworm to make a tunnel digger machine.
Look for it in school board in Texas near.
So let me ask you a question.
You think hell exists?
Things get dark here,
Okay, see if I can convince you of that, all right? If a man raped your mother and cut her throat, he should be punished.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe in punishment, sorry. I mean, we should prevent people from doing that.
That's why I really wanted Brendan here.
Well, what does punishment accomplish after the fact?
Those
thirst for
delicious feelings
vengeance.
of vengeance.
Yeah, that seems pretty unhealthy to me.
It's the eye for an eye.
And he says, if God is good, how can there not be a hell? What do you call that? That's wishful thinking. That's what that is.
It was also promoting his Nazi book.
Right, yeah. His Hitler and God or whatever?
Yeah, that there must be a loving God that has a hell because otherwise the Nazis didn't get punished.
Yeah, otherwise I would feel really bad about things that happened in history. Well, you know what? History is fucking horrible. You should feel bad.
Yeah.
You know what? That bad feeling... Yeah, that bad feeling is useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This episode will be coming out after the election results are in.
Yeah, we don't yet know who the next president of the United States will be.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So he uses this to launch into questioning these university students about their fornication and porn habits.
Oh yeah, super uncomfortable. It's like, do you watch porn?
Look at pornography?
No.
Tell lies?
All the time.
So you do look at pornography?
No, I mean, everybody does. It's not like nobody does, but...
So you do?
Yeah, sometimes.
The porn that you love and your fornication with your girlfriend.
And the guy's like, no. He's like, well, come on, really? He's like, well, yeah,
everybody does.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't watch it since I've got a girlfriend. So you're a fornicator.
You don't need to because you're fornicating.
Yeah, so he's going through and he's quizzing them on, have you ever lied? Have you ever stolen
Well, it's this
anything?
classic thing. He starts off with, are you a good person?
Yeah.
And then he uses, if you've ever made any mistake or done anything wrong, that makes you a bad person.
Have you ever used God's name in vain?
Yes.
What about you?
Yeah.
But I don't understand fundamentally why, if you've ever done anything wrong that makes you a bad person, why doesn't it make you a good person if you've ever done anything good? No, it's pass fail.
Because hypocritical.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going through the 10 Commandments and quizzing these students super awkward. He also found the one angriest white old atheist who
yes, I want to die.
Yeah, I want to kill myself because everything is terrible. Oh, so that was unfortunate. It also seemed like the only guy he could find on the beach who would talk to him because everybody else had more fun to be having.
Everybody, it was the only shot that was in a different location. It was, nobody else was there. It was really bizarre. We need one more, guys. One more.
Somebody who's not,
not 18.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to wonder how many people he actually interviewed to get these these 8 people that he actually talks to.
Who all seem to convert in the end.
And what footage we didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The cutoffs were quite blatant in some places.
Yeah, and right in the middle of somebody speaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I guess I believe in a God. Bang.
Yeah.
Jump cut.
Yeah, you can see them opening their mouth to like say something
Can I
else.
go home now?
That's it.
If I say can I go? No.
You talk about false confessions and police tactics and another.
Yeah, right. So, you're in front of a judge. You're on trial. But somebody steps in and pays your fine. That's Jesus, everybody. That's what Jesus did for you. Because that's how courts work, right? Like somebody can just pay your fine, I guess, for civil matters. But this is right after he's talking about like rape and murder and stuff.
What about the punishment?
He's talking about how God is, justice, and God is just, and not just merciful, but also just. But God also is totally fine with you getting off scot-free, so long as somebody is punished, which is totally how justice works, right? Like, imagine you're in front of a judge because you've, murdered a bunch of people, and then suddenly a guy runs in, long hair, beard, flowing robes, and he's like, hold on, kill me instead. And the judge is like, yeah, okay, I'll allow it. Yeah. Substitutional atonement is ridiculous.
It worked for Barabbas.
Well, but yeah, but if that wasn't a thing, how would there be so many movies about patsies?
If this works, though, then could Hitler just accept God and then he would be fine?
I'm sure that was in the other Hitler movie.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
The Hitler movie was abortion with Ray Comfort, wasn't it? The last one?
I didn't watch it.
I did.
Yeah.
The Hitler one was a book.
Well, he talks about Hitler a lot. Hitler's a moneymaker for him.
Yeah, but the movie he did was like abortion.
Well, yeah, and he focuses entirely on faith, not works. Like, that's Ray Comfort's thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you read the Bible selectively, which Ray Comfort claims not to do, but you can make an argument for either just faith, and works don't matter, or just works, and faith doesn't matter. Yeah. And,
so George Michael or Prince. I did.
Because I gotta have faith.
What else was in the movie that was terrible besides all of it?
The nature shots were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were beautiful.
It looked
They were
good.
kittens.
They were kittens.
And a hummingbird.
And a baby gorilla.
I thought it was an orangutan.
No.
Was it a kind of like flat face with the
there
orange?
There was a few primates in there.
All primates look alike to me.
Are primates though.
Yeah.
Because they were showing shots of different humans and saying like blonde people and
blonde, redhead, brunette.
Yeah, and the redhead was a primate.
Yeah.
And the blonde was a Cabbage Patch doll.
The only one that's human is a brunette. Sorry, me and Dave are out. We're orangutans. No, that's fair. That's a fair call.
And I have to point out, as a mother who is breastfeeding a baby, when they showed like the perfect family natural picture, the parents were bottle feeding their baby. Like they couldn't have found a nursing picture.
And Laura got jealous.
Come on, Huxley, come on! I'm just saying, when you're going with all this natural God created thing, it wasn't exactly congruent with your point.
But God created boobs for the adulterers.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Not for the babies.
No.
And so, as previously mentioned, after they quizzed them about how they were definitely terrible people, and so if there was a hell, they agreed that they were probably going there. And so it ended with them being like, well, so are you going to go home and think about this? Yeah. And do you think you're going to dedicate your life to Jesus now? Yeah. And when are you gonna do that? Like, and the one guy was like, well, I guess as soon as possible. And Ray Comfort was like, today? And the guy was like, yeah.
It's like, what if you die tonight? Well, I guess I'll head to church instead of class.
I don't know. The whole movie was just kind of like, okay, it was just a series of young people feeling uncomfortable, but yet compelled to continue answering questions.
Yeah.
That's really all I took from this
Well, we
whole
came up
thing.
with the alternate subtitle of Ray Comfort abuses the social contract to make children speak to him.
Yeah.
But he chose a college campus, so he's like, well, most of them are probably over 18.
You'd fit in well with her trilby-wearing folk.
Are we going to send this review to Ray Comfort are the people who sent you the request.
Well, then they won't send me any more movies.
I think that this is entirely what they intend, right?
True, yeah.
Like they just want publicity, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Eddie
we'll
Press
link to
is
their
good
YouTube
press.
video in the show
They'll
notes.
get the traffic. But anyway, Jem wants to talk about some dude who just died.
Yeah, so you folks heard of Jack Chick?
Yeah.
So on October 24th, so just last week as we're recording this, Jack Chick's website, chick.com, posted the following update. Our beloved Jack Chick has gone to be with our Lord. He was 92. So Jack Chick, the creator of the infamous Chick Tracts, died in his sleep on the 23rd of October 2016. Many atheists have a fondness for his tracts, which rail against everything from tabletop gaming to masonry, which actually really confused me until I realized that he was talking about Freemasonry, not bricklaying.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's what is wrong with building buildings, man?
He really has it in for Masons. So, with Jack Chick in mind, I'd like to end our episode today with a game that I'd like to call Jack or Fiction. I'm going to present the name and brief synopsis of a Chick tract, and I'd like you to tell me whether it's real or whether I made it up. I've got a predetermined order here to keep things fair for everybody, and you tell me whether it's Jack or fiction. We're going to start with
Dark Dungeons.
After her cleric reaches level 8, Debbie learns that Dungeons & Dragons is a recruitment tool for a real-life witch coven. So we'll start with Laura. Jack or fiction?
Jack.
Ashlyn?
Jack.
Lauren?
Jack.
Ash?
Jack.
Dave?
Fiction.
This is the one I've seen most often because it gets mocked so widely.
This is, I started us off with an easy one, and Dave fell on the sword there. That is indeed a real tract. It's probably his most famous. Dark Dungeons. You can find this and all of these at chick.com if you really, really want to. So, tract 2. We're going to start with Ashlyn this time.
Got to catch them all.
Obsessed with a new monster-catching video game, young Billy breaks into his friend's house to steal his copy, only to be caught by his friend's father, a pastor, who shares the good word.
See, I thought it was going to be about Pokemon Go, and that's, I think, too recent.
Yeah, because I think he retired.
I'm going to say fiction.
Jack.
Fiction.
Jack.
What's that, Huxley? What'd you say?
Little noises.
Fiction.
That is fiction. I made that one up. I wanted to throw a pun in there, God to catch them all, but I restrained myself.
So that one we would have known.
Yep. Okay, tract 3. We're going to start with Lauren this time.
Uh-oh.
In the beginning.
A biologist is plagued by dreams in which dinosaurs drag him to hell. The dreams finally subside when he visits a museum that shows him the true history of life on this planet.
I'm just going to answer Jack for all of them.
Okay.
We're going to go with C.
Might be a solid strategy. Ash?
I'm going with fiction.
Okay. Dave?
Jack.
Okay. Laura?
Jack.
And Ashlyn.
Oh, it's so hard because it's so ridiculous, but it's like exactly his brand of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Jack.
It is fiction.
They didn't quite have that right flavor to it.
Yeah, I worked really hard on that one. I'm glad I captured
It
it.
was just missing a little.
Okay, so the next one is, and we'll start with Ash.
Okay.
Halo?
Question mark. A elite gamer learns that a high score isn't enough to get him into heaven, and the battle against Satan's forces of darkness is far too real. Jack or fiction?
He uses such extreme words as elite gamer.
Yeah, I'm gonna call fiction on that one, but I'm not 100% certain.
Dave?
I'm gonna go Jack.
Laura?
Do people actually say elite gamer?
I don't think it matters whether people say it.
It matters what Jack would say it.
But that's the thing. It's like it needs to have been. I feel like it needs to have been said somewhere for him to pick up on.
thing.
You know,
Yeah.
The world of Halo,
10,
that's
12
okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Right
don't
before
play
they would
video
teabag your
games.
character.
Right. God, I hate nerds. a lot of self-loathing.
Jack.
Ashlyn?
Jack.
Lauren?
Jack and Coke.
And once again, Ash takes it. That was a fiction again.
You're not allowed to play our games anymore.
After I made this one up, I actually did a quick search, and Jack Chick did tweet on the 8th of May 2015, "I might make a tract about the Halo video games." But he never did.
He did not.
Okay. I'm sorry we missed that. But yours was a reasonable substitute.
The next one, starting with Dave.
Big Daddy?
That's the name of the tract. I'm not, maybe. A science teacher tries to kick a Christian boy out of his classroom, only to be shown the error of his ways when the student explains that the protons in an atom are held together by Jesus.
I'm going fiction.
Ashlyn?
Jack.
Lauren?
Well, apparently I don't know Jack, but I'm still going to go Jack.
Laura?
Fiction.
I'm going to say Jack.
That is Jack.
I feel like I remember seeing the protons held together by Jesus thing.
Yeah.
That's a claim that a few people make. I'm not sure if it originated with Jack Chick, but it is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He personally holds them, every atom together.
What happened in the Old Testament then?
He's got the whole world.
No, I think you're missing the section where everything in the Old Testament was nullified by the New Testament.
Right.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
3,000 years of just don't worry about it.
Just,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
Don't worry.
you haven't, you're forgetting about the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word is also Jesus, basically. Praise Jesus! Jesus pre-existed his, the Trinity was always there, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole bunch of retconning. Comics got it somewhere. The next one, starting with Lauren, is... Boom! On Halloween night, Satan, wearing a jack-o'-lantern on his head, murders a bunch of kids with a chainsaw before being rebuked by a churchgoer.
That's not how Sleepy Hollow happened.
Got some good one-liners here tonight.
Jack.
Laura.
Jack.
Ashlyn.
I feel like he must have hated Halloween, but I also...
He hated fun.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the Chainsaw Massacre thing. I'll still go Jack.
Ash?
Fiction.
And Dave?
I'll go fiction. That is just way too many bad horror movies just randomly thrown together.
I was very surprised to find this is true. Yes. It is.
Halloween is obviously the most evil of all holidays,
he
so
hates Halloween.
clearly it includes a Chainsaw Massacre.
Which is super funny, because Halloween is like his biggest season.
Yeah.
There's always this big push for... First, it was to give tracts away instead of candy.
Yeah.
But then people just wouldn't come to your house, so now he suggests wrapping a tract around the candy with an
now
elastic
he doesn't
band.
suggest
Well,
anything.
okay, that's true. Okay, the next one, starting with Laura, is...
The new religion.
Jill discovers that the self-help group she attended with her friend Karen is a front for a sinister space church that threatens to share her secrets with the world unless she joins.
Sinister Space Church.
This sounds like the kind of thing that would totally be a tract, but I think Jem might have written this one.
In my spare time, that's how I'm making ends meet. I'm ghostwriting all of these tracts.
I'm gonna go with fiction only because, not because I don't, there's probably a tract that's like it, but I think this is Jem's concoction.
Ashlyn?
I'm just gonna keep going Jack.
Ash?
Jack.
Dave?
Jack.
Lauren?
I have the same misgivings that Laura does, but I'm just going to keep going with my Jack streak.
Well, Laura takes it, because I made that one up.
He talks a lot, so I know what he writes like.
Well, okay, so that's why I summarized all of them in my own voice.
Yeah.
But, okay, so let's move on to Ashlyn.
Con man.
A young boy at a fan convention learns that the pointy-eared science officer he always looked up to actually worships the cold logic of the devil.
And sings about Bilbo Baggins in his spare time.
In the middle of the earth, in the land of Shire, lives a brave little hobbit whom we all admire. With his long wooden pipe, fuzzy woolly toes, he lives in a hobbit hole and everybody knows him. Bilbo Baggins, he's only 3 feet tall. Bilbo Baggins. Baggins, the bravest little hobbit of them all.
Yeah, he probably hated Spock. But we just had a fiction. You probably use a randomizer on these anyway.
I do. to remove any predictability, and because I know humans are really bad at making things actually random. I write them all and I randomize them.
Pointy ear worships the devil. Sure, Jack.
Ash?
Jack.
Dave?
Fiction.
Lauren?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, that Nimoy's photography was amazing and beautiful, and everybody should look at it.
Really?
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with Jack.
Laura?
I'm going to go with Jack, too.
And Dave is the sole winner here.
Oh.
I think, and that might be Dave's first point. I'm not sure. I made that one up. I was very proud of that one. Okay, surprisingly, I think I only had one left to write, and I stumbled across on Rational Wiki a list of things that Jack Chick strangely didn't have a tract about, and Star Trek is one of them. He apparently has no tracts about Star Trek. Yeah. This tract is Ash.
Global warming.
Climate change is revealed to be the false prophecy of scientists who pray to the pagan goddesses Ixchel and Gaia. It is Jesus who controls the climate.
Jack.
Very certain. Dave.
Oh, I'm gonna just have to go with Jack, because that is way too much certainty.
Lauren?
So, Jesus is the dad who can tell when somebody's moved the thermometer, right?
Who moved the thermostat? You're paying this bill!
My alarm went off. Is your thermostat okay? That's a Jack.
Laura?
Jack.
Ashlyn?
Jack. Scientists who pray to pagan gods.
And that is indeed an original Jack.
You wouldn't have tripped over the goddesses' names if you had written it.
You think so?
He probably would have
maybe.
looked up this.
Yeah, you would have written it phonetically.
I read this tract.
And the final tract.
The Little Princess.
We'll start with Dave on this one. A terminally ill girl's last wish is to trick-or-treat at Halloween. She dies that night, but the last house that she visited gave her a chick tract, which saved her soul just in time.
Ooh, that's pretty meta.
Jack.
Laura?
I want to say Jack, but I think I've read one chick tract in my life. Yeah, this is not a thing I encountered until Jem told me about this.
Oh, I'm going to pay for your house.
Please don't. So I'm wondering, is that, are chick tracts that self-serving?
That nakedly self-serving? That nakedly...
Yeah, this is a thing I don't actually know. So I want to, based on the other content, I want to say that they are, but I really don't know. Jack, what the hell?
Ashlyn.
Yeah, I think going back to what you were saying about him trying to convince people to give them away, I think this would be the perfect vehicle. If you want to convince people to give away your tracts, and you think tracts are the best way to convince people of things, you would make a tract about giving your tracts away. Right? So, Jack.
Sound logic? It's very circular reasoning, which, as we know, this chick is fond of. Lauren.
So he put a tract in a tract, so you can track what you tracked.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's how that works.
Jack.
And Ash.
I'm going to say fiction.
That is a real one.
Woo,
the Little Princess is a real one. I was astonished to find a chick tract referenced in a chick tract, and it wasn't just any tract. It was very clear that it was a Jack chick tract.
He's not usually that self-serving, but I think that they need to make a toilet paper roll that is made completely of Jack chick tracts.
That must exist. I feel like that has to exist somewhere.
If it doesn't, it has to. It needs to be a thing.
I think you have a new business idea.
Yes.
Come on, Internet. You can do this.
So our final scores here, unless I've made an error, which maybe our listeners can check. We have Dave with 3, Woo! Laura with 4,
Woo!
Lauren and Ash tied with 5, and Woo! Ashlyn with 6.
How did I win that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no
my
idea.
Goodness, wow, okay, yay,
Maybe because you heard of this guy before this week.
Right, Dave has just lived in this Zen world.
Ash had read a bunch of them.
Well, yeah, Ash was really close, but I got them on a couple.
I'm a winner.
So this has been a lot of fun, but it's important to keep in mind, I think, that as ridiculous as Jack Chick's beliefs are, or were, he preached a gospel of fear and hatred, and he targeted children. We're recording on October 30th, and tomorrow many children are going to find his tracts in their Halloween bags. Amidst all the hair-pulling over pagan rituals and evolution in those tracts, there's a lot of truly awful rhetoric about gender, sexuality, and minority religions that can be really harmful to kids. The 2014 strip Home Alone, for example, complains that, quote, "The gays played the sympathy card and it's paid off. Gay brainwashing floods our TV channels with gay sitcoms, gay news, and gay films."
I wish that was true.
Yeah, up top.
The strip explains that while its main character, Coach Brad, claims he was born gay, he actually became gay after being raped in juvie hall, and that turned him into a sexual predator. Jack Chick is dead. His particular brand of hatred, however, is not. And I'm sorry that that's a downer way to end this, but...
Times are changing?
Yeah,
Be
I
the
hope
change
so.
you want to see in the world.
The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I think that's a thing. Oh, we're just saying like aphorisms now? Or?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the game, Jem. Always entertaining.
It was my pleasure.
Infuriating this time.
And thanks all of you for joining us for the recording today. It was a lot of fun to have a big group to chat.
Yeah, we haven't had like a big group in a while. So next time on Life, the Universe, and Everything Else, we're going to do our annual LUEE Holiday Special.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great night.
Good night.
Good night.
And sign up for our newsletter.
And read Bad Science Box.
And come to events.
Come to all our events. They're great.
Oh yeah, like those escape rooms. They're fun.
Yeah, we've been doing an escape room every month, and it's just such a great synergy. Can I use the word synergy? That's not in a boardroom.
not with Jem in the room.
Of like teamwork and critical thinking and logic and trying to match up clues to totally seemingly unrelated things. It's just a ton of fun. You should come out and join us for one of those.
You've been listening to Life, the Universe, and Everything Else. If you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to suggest a topic for the show, send us an email at lueepodcast@winnipegskeptics.com. If you want to show your support, give us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook, or just share the show with a friend. Our music is produced by the very talented Ian James, and this episode was edited by Jem Newman.
Life. Don't talk to me about life.
Podcast lubricant.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. Go into the highways and byways. It's been stuck in my head all day. I don't know the rest of the words now.
That's just perfectly okay.
This is all fine. Everything is fine.
Everything is great.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
I love how popular that song was, despite the fact that within the context of the film, it's super sinister.
Yeah.
For the... I'm sorry.
First of all...
I needed to get a word in, apparently.
Man.
But if you see cute baby coughs, like father, like son, let me ask you a question. Do you believe in hell? That accent is just getting worse and worse.
Can you put a little bit more Aussie in that, please?
He is a Kiwi, thank you. Not that my accent knows the difference.
New Zealand is just as nasal as Aussie, but you make everything sound like you're saying with the letter I. Okay, that one was oi. Oi. Ciabatta.
Ciabatta bread.
Ciabatta bread.
We watched a lot of MasterChef New Zealand.
So most of our terms are
ciabatta bread.
Ciabatta bread.
But God also is totally fine with you getting off scot-free. No, he's not.
Oh, nah.
I realized that I'd stopped in the wrong place, and I'm like, oh, start talking again before they jump in. No, didn't make it.
Too late.
So God is totally fine with you getting off scot-free. So long as...
doesn't have his beard of protection anymore.
Yeah, I'm
shorn.
I'm recording this episode beardless.
He and Huxley look a lot alike.
We could go back
Huxley's
to the
cuter.
headphone again that we had to abandon. I'm making too much noise with my beard.
Oh yeah. In some of the outtakes from our early episodes, we were recording using like headsets, and I couldn't. I had to like hold it in front of my face, and then I got a new mic because it kept rustling in my beard. Sorry, I'm really not good at my
Your creepy dude impression.
It's been a while since he's dated.
I was gonna say, is this how he hit on you?
I had mutton chops back then.
Oh god.
Yeah, they were awful. I liked him anyway. Oh,
true love.
I don't know, his beard...
I liked his beard. It's kind of grizzly, but...
It definitely suited him.
He's got like this whole Fisher-Stevens thing going on.
He does.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
does,
yeah, I
yeah.
can see that.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot better. It's a lot better than Ken Ham's like werewolf impression. Like,
So now that we're done talking about the movie and we've gotten into beard shaming.
Was I there?
You talked
yeah,
about
it was
Did
worldwide
I?
winter.
Yeah.
Well,
We talked about
this is good to know.
We were gestating.
What are we calling this episode?
Have you ever seen a fucking penguin?
I've never seen them mating.